Thank you so much, everyone, for being here today and joining us for this session around HR processes and automations in Bob. I'd also like to give a really warm welcome to Adir, who's joining us today. Adir is the product manager of this feature on the system at HiBob. And I have to say, he's done a really wonderful job with this update. I'm personally a huge fan of it. So to get us started, I'll quickly share the agenda of the session with you. So we'll quickly go in today's session. I'll share a quick explanation of the advantages of the flows and automations in the system. And we'll share some of the new functionality as well that's been added to Task List after this update. I'll then hand over to Adir, who will then take us through a walkthrough of this feature on the system and show us in much greater detail all of the functionality that's available. After that, Adir will then really quickly share with us some of the kind of possibilities or ideas of what might be coming in the future for this feature. And then before wrapping up the session, we'll have a Q&A portion. You'll notice that you'll be able to send questions in through the console, the GoToWebinar console on the side here, and we'll do our best to answer as many questions as we can. And if we don't get through to them, I do apologize, but we'll follow up with you directly, so you should be able to get an answer at some point. So let's get started with our feature intro. So I'm sure, as you're all aware, with today's remote reality being pushed into even smaller organizations, organizations need to seek out a way to formalize their business processes in order to decrease their administrative load and also to become more efficient. With HR's added challenges of managing a fast-paced flow of diverse talent in and out of the organization in multiple locations, and even now remotely, automations are an absolute must-have. Automating the HR processes with Task List means that HR teams can manage important administrative tasks quickly and accurately while saving time. It also allows them to empower other stakeholders in the business to do their part, and it allows them to hand over with complete peace of mind. In addition, this will help speed up the process itself. It automates notifications and communications relating to the process, which means an almost immediate increase in efficiency and productivity. So that's a little bit about the advantages of this feature. So most importantly, what's new? As mentioned, I'll just be giving a really quick list of some of the new functionality that the team has added with this update. And then Adir will be taking us through in much more detail in the walkthrough. So I'm sure you've noticed the first and biggest change I'd like to let you know about is the relocation and renaming of this feature. As I said, Adir will take us through and show us everything there. The next changes and additions that I'd like to highlight are auto-triggering and sending custom emails internally in your company as well as externally. Auto-triggering feedback reviews as part of the tasks list, so you're able to send an employee lifecycle feedback form with the use of a task list. You'll also be able to personalize task details with annotations, and Adir will show us that in much more detail after. As well as use conditions to limit who the tasks apply to. So you can make it very specific to a new hire flow at a specific site as well. So now that I've kind of given you a little bit of an amuse-bouche with this information, I'm really excited to pass you off to Adir, who will take you through all of these specifics and show you all of the functionality available. So Adir, I'm going to set the screen sharing to be with you, and then we'll switch over and we'll finish with questions after. So everybody, welcome Adir.
Thank you so much, Ellie. Okay, now I can share my screen here. Okay, so thank you so much for joining us today. I'm really excited to show you our new task list feature and all of its new capabilities, and we have a lot to discuss. So I'm just gonna begin, and I want to start with the naming and the relocation of the features. So you know that once we had the workflows, and the workflows were located in the to-dos tab. Now it's called tasks. But the workflows, the configuration, the work area of the workflows is now under settings, and it's called task list. So I'm going to start with the configuration, and later on I will discuss the relocation, the renaming, and the triggering, and all of the things. So lots to follow. Task list work area. So in the task list work area, you can see all the configured task lists you have in your account, in your company. It can be a lot of things, a lot of use cases, from birthday to monthly happy hour to promotion, onboarding, offboarding, or any other life cycle event of the employees. And for now, what we can do within this work area, we can create a new task list. This is what we're going to do next. We can manage the existing task list, and we can delete or duplicate. I want to start to build with you, to configure with you a new task list. Great. So once you click the Add New, you have a wizard of the task list. We have two steps, the detail steps and the task step. Within the detail steps, we have several things to configure, so we will do it together. So the name of the task list. In this example, we have onboarding UK site. You can set a description, for example, you can put any description as you wish, and then we get into the scheduling section, and this is an important one. If you like these tasks to be set off automatically, you need to toggle this on. Once we toggle it on and we get into the set scheduling, we have several things we need to configure here. First one is, when do you want the task to be set off automatically? So this is where you put your criteria. It means, in my example, let's say 10 days before the start date, because this is the onboarding of the UK site. But I wanted to discuss a bit about all the possibilities, all the options over here. We have lots of dates, if they're out of the box date, and custom dates as well. So you can really have as many tasks as you wish based on any lifecycle event you see, termination, probation, anniversaries, a lot of things. So it's up to you. In our case, let's pick the start date. And now we got into the applies to. The applies to is actually the population of the task list for whom this will be applied to. We have several options. The first one is really straightforward, is the all employees. So all employee will be within this task list. The third one is select by name. So you have to specifically select specific employees. And the middle one is the most important one here, is the select by conditions. Once we click the select, we have a pop-up where you can configure as many conditions as you wish. And you have a lot of fields over here. In our example, let's say that site equals London. And let's put another one. Let's say that department does not equal GNA. Something to keep in mind that both the conditions are combined. It means that we have an AND operator between them. It means that also both the site equals London and department does not equal GNA needs to be fulfilled. And we can see it over here. Once I click done, I can see the chips, and I can see that both the site and the department needs to be fulfilled. So this is a lot of customers are asking us about that. So there is an and between them. Send on behalf. Okay, this is something that needs to be discussed as well. So once I configure the scheduling criteria, so I want the task list to be triggered automatically, it will be sent on behalf of the task list owner. By default, the owner of the task list is the creator of the task list, but the admin, all of the admins, can change the task list owner at any time. So you can keep it in mind as well. And we can see it later on when I show you pre-configured task list that I had, and we'll see how it looks. Now, the second step, the tasks. This is where all the fun happens. So what we have here, we have three options for tasks. We have the general task, the email, and the employee feedback, and we're going to go over them one by one. The general task, actually, it used to be called to-dos. So we had workflows, and the workflows had to-dos inside. Now we have a general task. A general task is a task that needs to be completed, needs to be marked as done within Bob. The assignee needs to get into Bob and complete the task. How we configure a general task? Let's say we have an HR intro. This is the name of the task. We have a link in Bob. A link in Bob is a link that will be attached to the general task. And once you click on the link, you will be redirected to the place you specified. In this example, you can attach a link to time of benefits and docs of the employee, of the triggered employee, or a section, a category in the employee profile. In this example, we can have, like, if it's a HR intro, let's say the about is relevant. The assignee. The assignee can be both roles or specific employees. Let's, in this example, as you can see, we have two out-of-the-box roles, the manager and the employee. And we have employee reference fields that's totally customized in your account. You can add as many employee reference fields as you wish. In my company, I have, for example, HRBP, but it can be IT, and it can be mentor or a buddy or whatever you wish. And they will be the roles, and I can assign a task to a specific role. In this example, let's select the HRBP, and let's select Adeline, some specific employee. So we have two assignees. Now let's get into the message. And here is we're gonna see we have some new cool capabilities over here when you can use the annotations, the variables within the message, and you can customize and personalize the message that Bob going to send out. And how we're going to do it? It's actually like that. We have the icon over here, the add variable, and you can see the employee and all the employee reference fields I just discussed before with the roles. We have the manager and all the others. So let's go on and do something like that. I know it's for the HR, so let's call it by their name, HRBP. And I can put the employee data as well. And I can also search for something, like, for example, start date. And I can put it over here, and I can put inside as many fields as you wish. They can be custom fields, they can be out of the box fields. You can see we have a lot of them. So you just have to pick your own and complete the messages and all the tasks, and they will be as personalized as you wish. So so every time you trigger the task list, each employee gets another message based on the auto-populated fields. So this is the template you build. I can put something like a job title, departments, and lots of other things. Another thing I can put in the message is to use some rich text elements. I can change the font size. I can get a link into it. I can have emojis, a lot of things over here. So you can have as many personalized, customized messages within the task, and later we see it in the email as well. And this is the message part. Now we get into the due date. So what is due date? Due date is the day that the task should be completed by then. It means that I already have a triggering criteria, a scheduling criteria in the first step, the details, what we already saw. But the due date, in our example, let's say it will be much clearer. We know that the task list will be triggered 10 days before the start date, but I need this HR intro to be done by 2 days after the start date. So this is the due date. It will be triggered 10 days before the start date because all the task lists will be triggered as a whole, but the due date is 2 days after the start date. And keep in mind, if the assignee won't complete the task, we will send a reminder 2 days before. It means in this example, on the start date, a reminder will be sent out automatically. Okay, we got into the dependency part. A dependency is if you like another task to be completed, and after that, this task that I'm configuring at the moment will be triggered. It means after the completion of specific task, another one will be triggered. In this example, is the first task that I'm configuring, so I have nothing to choose over here, but we'll see it in a second in the other task. Conditions. The conditions over here is also a great option for you to choose if the task is relevant to specific employees based on any criteria you choose. For example, let's say that employment type does not equal to contractors, and it means that if the employment type is not contractors, the task list, the tasks or the general tasks will be triggered. Otherwise, if I'm adding a new employee and he is a contractor, this task is not relevant and it won't be triggered at all. Once I click the save, and I can as well put as many conditions as you wish, so it's up to you. Once I click the save, I can see I have a new table card over here with HR intro, and if I click on it, I can see it in a view mode. I can see the name and the message, the due date, the conditions, and everything is here. I can see the assignees, both rows and specific employees. And I also have an icon here says I have conditions. So if it's collapsed, I can say that I have conditions over here. From here, by the way, but from here you can also edit or delete it. Great, so this was the general task. The second one, and really important one, is the email. So this is a brand new one. It's not to-dos or not something that we used to have. This is how we can send an email using our task list. So what we need to configure over here. So the first thing is from whom this email will be sent. This example, let's pick Apple. And then I need to decide who are the recipients. And there can be two options. It can be somewhere within Bob, within the application, like any role, as we already know, for example, manager or a specific employee. And it can be also external email. It means that now you can send an email to a mailbox. For example, if you have like IT mailbox, or you can send it to an outsourced service provider that you work with and you want to deliver some information based on any calendar, any lifecycle event. For example, in our example, it's the start date, is the onboarding of an employee. So in this example, it will be like and you can have several of them here, and it will be sent internally and externally in this option, in this scenario. Okay, now the subject. So this is the subject of the email. This is the title of it. So let's say like pension enrollment. So I want to send an email to an outsourced service provider regarding the pension enrollment of the new employee. And what I can say over here, please keep in mind. Now I can put, for example, the ID of the employee. So I can look for it. You can see I have it over here. You can see personal mobile. So everything is in place. So I can put as many fields as I wish based on your use case. In this example, the pension. So I need to put like IDs and personal stuff like addresses and personal mobile and email, etc. So you can configure the email, the body, and the subject as you wish, and they will be sent out, and we'll see it in a minute. And as well, you can use rich text elements as well. The dependency that we discussed earlier. So once we have more than one task, I can select it. It means that upon the completion of the HR intro, the email will be sent. So let's save it for a minute. And we can see we have even a new icon says we have a dependency. And I can see as well, I have an external email, I have some internal assignees, internal recipients, and the body with the annotations and a dependency. Great, we had general task and we had an email. Now we have the employee feedback. This is a great option if you would like to collect and request for feedback from your employees based on lifecycle event or based on any other criteria that you want to track. So here what we're going to do is to set the from. It means the feedback request will be sent from the manager in this example. You can use any other role or specific employee. And the feedback form, it's an important one. You need to first configure it in the surveys work area in Bob. So I already did that. It means I have in my account, I have like 4 feedback. And I can choose whatever you like to be triggered. For in this example, we have the end of probation or the work from home during COVID-19. Let's go with the end of probation. I can set as well the dependency and the conditions as you wish. And also, I have it over here. So these were the 3 of the tasks type that we have. But I want to show you how it looks once it's already configured, and we can have a bit of a recap of what we configure. So the scheduling, as we said, we can see that the send on behalf is the creator, and because I am an admin, I can change it to whoever I want. But keep in mind, the task list owner is the one who's going to trigger that because it's auto scheduled and it's going to be triggered automatically. So everything will be based on their permissions. So put attention for that. In the second step, you can see all of the tasks that I already configured. You can see I have the icons for the dependency and the conditions. You can see I have all of the data that I want to send via the general task or the email. You can use really everything. You can also have a lot of them, and I can reorder, and I can change everything. It can be very customizable. Okay, now that we finished with the configuration of it, and I'm going to trigger it in a second, but before that, I want to discuss a bit that what we can do with the task list, regardless of the auto schedule and the triggering it manually. I believe that some of you knows our flows. We have the employee changes flows, which are HR business processes, for example, promotion, salary change, personal information, a lot of other things. You can configure them, and this is another session. But what I wanted to say that once I have a promotion business process, HR business process, I can attach a task list into it, and I can have a whole process with the categories and fields, and also the task list that needs to be done by the completion of this approval flow. In this example, let's say promotion Norway. And it means that once the flow is completed, the task list will be triggered, and there will be, for example, emails that needs to be sent, it will be general tasks, and even feedback that the promoted employee needs to answer. So it's a great option for you to attach both of them and have a great process. Nice. Now I want to get back to discuss a bit about the naming and the relocation. So we used to have to-dos, now it's tasks. And in tasks, we have my tasks, which are all the tasks that I am the assignee of, and I can mark them as done. And we have people tasks. In the people tasks, you can see all of the tasks that you have permissions to view. You can send a reminder to nudge them. You can reassign them. You can also see all of the information of the task with the annotations, with everything that already configured. Everything is set over here, and you can also mark them as done on behalf of the assignee. What is missing over here is that we had the workflows that we already discussed, and it's now task list and it's under settings. But another thing that is missing over here is the flow status. So we just discussed about the configuration of employee changes flows, the approval flows. So the status of them, or the actual approvals, are relocated into people, and now it's called approvals. So with the approvals, we can see all, as you can see, we have the promotion, address change, and other flows there. And you can see the status, you can drill down into it and see all the data that was changed, and everything regarding that. So these are the change of the relocation, relocating and then renaming of the feature. Right, now I think it's something that you all been waiting for, and to trigger the task list that we built. So how are we going to do it? We can do several things. Because I want to trigger it at the moment, so it's going to be manual triggering, not automated triggering. But how are we going to do it? You can select as many employees as you wish, and you can trigger task list in bulk. You can just go over here and select your task list. Or you can trigger it for a specific employee, whether from here or if you go into the profile of the employees and just trigger the task list. In our example, is the onboarding UK. Okay, I want to have a minute for this pop-up. Once we trigger a task list manually, it will be triggered immediately. And this is a great thing to mention over it. It will be triggered immediately, but although that we have a date that we need to choose over here. So what's the difference? The date here related to the due date. Remember when we configure the general task within the task list, we set due dates for the general tasks. But once I'm triggering something manually, you need to decide what is the due date related to. It can be specific custom date or out of the box date or set calendar date or even today. You set it, but they are different. It will be triggered immediately, and the due dates will be related to today, for example, in the sense of urgency. And let's click the set. Okay, the onboarding UK was triggered. Now I can show you what I got into in my email. Great. Let's start with the tasks. So it used to call to-dos, as you know, now it's called tasks. And the new thing here is that we have the annotations. As you see, our new joiner will start on the start date. And we have some useful information I've added because I thought it would be helpful. So everything is auto-populated. As you can see, the job title, the department, the preferred laptop, everything is auto-populated based on the employee data. So you just need to trigger it based for any other employee, and it will be other data, which is great. And as you see, you have also other annotations over here. So these are the tasks. And once I'm the assignee, I have in this example, I have 2 tasks. I can log into Bob and mark them as done. So these are the general tasks that needs to be marked as done. Now let's see the emails. Okay, so as you see, it's a separated email from the task since it's an email and it can be sent out to an external email addresses. And you can see all of the annotations as well. You can see the name, you can see the start date, we can see other useful information for the payroll enrollment like ID and address and mobile phone. And you can add as many fields as you wish, custom and out-of-the-box fields, and everything will be here. Even this one is an annotation of the HRBP, so everything is customizable. And the last one, we have the feedback. So Nail is actually the manager, and based on our configuration, this is the feedback, the work from home during COVID-19 survey. And I, as an employee, got this email, and I can complete the feedback by logging into Bob and answer the feedback and the questions. Okay, so this is the emails I got once I triggered the task list. Now I want to discuss a bit about our future possibilities and what's coming up next. So we have lots of ideas, lots of use cases going on, but what I can tell you for now that we're thinking about attaching time of policy into a task list. It means that if you would like to schedule a task list and it will be triggered once a policy, some kind of a policy type is scheduled, maybe in the future it will be possible. And especially in the reality of the COVID-19 and the work from the office policies, and that employees needs to set the L declaration and all of the other tasks. So it would be a great option to have. Means once the work from office, for example, is scheduled, the task list will be triggered. So this is one of the things we're thinking about. The other one is to set a calendar event from the task list. It means that another option, as you saw in a new task over here, another option would be calendar event. And in this situation, what will be is that you can schedule, for example, one-on-one or HR intro, and all the participants will get a scheduled event. So this is also a thing we're thinking about. And the last one that we're discussing it a lot is the provisioning action. It means that if based on any, as you know, all the task list is based on any lifecycle event, any date that you pick over there. Once I have a provisioning here, I can transfer the data of the employee based on the lifecycle event that you chose to another system like Okta or others. So basically, this is what we're thinking about, and this is what we're discussing. And Ali, I think this was it, and I think we're ready for some questions and stuff.
Great. Thanks so much for all of those amazing insights into the feature and also into what might be in the works one day. So we're now ready for questions. I've got a couple already lined up that I've seen that have come throughout the session. So if you do have any questions, feel free to send them in on the dashboard. As I said before, if we don't get to it, we do apologize in advance, but we'll be able to follow up with you directly after the session. So to start us off, our first question is, can I change the owner of the task list?
Oh, that's a great one. So actually, yes. Once you are an admin, one of the employee within the admin group, the permission group, you can change the owner. But as I said earlier, keep in mind that the owner of the task list is the one who will trigger the scheduling, the auto-schedule task list. It means it will be based on his permission. So you can change it. You can change it to whoever you like, but then keep it in mind, the permission thing.
Great. Thank you for confirming that, Adir. Our next question is, who will the tasks be sent on behalf of?
Okay, so as default, the task will be sent on behalf of the task list creator. So in this example, if you have an employee that has permissions to manage task lists, and he created a task list, he will be the owner. And if you set a scheduling criteria by toggling it on, it will be sent on behalf of this employee. But you as an admin can change it at any time. So you can change it to yourself or to some other persona in the company. And it means that all of the emails and the tasks will be sent on behalf of this person that is here, on behalf of this employee.
Great. Thank you so much. Somebody was wondering for our next question if you'd be able to clarify a little more on the difference between the trigger date and the due date.
Yeah, sure. So once we have a scheduling criteria, you see that we have 10 days before start date. This is the triggering date. It means 10 days before the start date, all the task lists will be triggered. But regarding the due date, as we have it here, so the task is already triggered 10 days before the start date, but the due date is it's the day that the task needs to be completed by. So in this case, it's 2 days before the start date. So it will be already, for example, in this example, 8 days in the assignee tasks, and and this is the due date. So after the 8 days, it will be overdue. Of course, that we're going to send a reminder 2 days before, but this is it. So it's a great question. The due date is not a triggering date. Triggering date is the triggering date of the task list, the whole task list. And the due date is just when it should be done.
Great. Thank you so much for clarifying that. Our next question is around the emails that are being sent out. And the question is, can you add a picture to those emails?
Wow, that's a nice one. So actually, this is a new feature, and it's open for almost a week, and we're collecting some feedback, and this is one of them. So this is the second time I hear that, and I can tell you that we wrote it down, and I believe that at some point we're gonna have it. I'm not sure about the specific timeline, but it's something that we're looking into it.
Great, thank you. So our next question is actually also about the emails and around some of the tasks. And it is, can you send only the email externally, or are you able to send tasks externally as well?
Oh, also great one. So the emails are basically a notification. FYI, it's not something that needs to be marked as done. Not like general task that the assignee needs to mark it as done within Bob. So I cannot send it externally because the external, for example, service provider does not have any access to Bob, so we cannot log in and mark it as done. So only emails can be sent out externally.
Great, thank you for that. Another question on emails. So the question is around, will the emails be sent all at the same time when the whole task list is triggered, or is it possible to schedule it to be sent on another date?
Well, a great one. So the question is yes, the emails are sent together with all the tasks within the task list. It means that in our example, it's 10 days before the start date, all the emails will be sent. So what we're going to do about that is that we can create another task list, and you can schedule it to any other date criteria, like on the start date or 2 days after the start date, and you can insert there the email that you want to send a bit delayed or something like that. So yes, you need to have a new task list with your emails, or it will be sent based on the criteria you have in the details tab.
Great, thank you so much. Our next question is around feedback, and although it's not directly related to task lists, I think it's still an important one to note. Someone is wondering, where do I locate the lifecycle feedback forms on the system?
Great, so let me just show you. under surveys, if I click on surveys, I have the employee lifecycle feedback. And here I can see all the feedback that I sent or completed, and I can see the forms. So here are the forms that I have. As I showed you in the dropdown, I have 4. So end of probation and exit survey, work from home during COVID-19. And you can have as many forms as you wish, and then later on you can automate them using the task list feature. So this is the place you can configure the feedback and later on go on to task list and use them.
Great, thank you. I've got another question here, and it is, will it be possible to link directly to a document that is in company docs from a task?
Okay, so at the moment, as we can see, you can only link to the docs of the employee. It's not the company docs. So we're thinking about this as well, but we're thinking more of maybe to insert it to a link within a task, or we saw that the use case is more often the onboarding, maybe to show all the company docs within the other onboarding process of the employee. So these are both of the direction we go, and one of it, or maybe both, should be eventually be available in the system on the system. So we're thinking about it, and we know that company docs is very commonly used. So actually, we're getting there.
Great, thanks so much for that, Adair. I think we've got time for another couple questions before we run out. This person is wondering, can we add different tasks in the flow addressed to different employees? So I think they're asking about the assignees. Can you show us how you set different assignees?
Okay, so here we can select based on roles or for specific employees. It means that I can select any role that I have on the system, and I can select specific employees. So all of these are the assignees at the moment. And you can have as many employee references as you wish based on your configuration in the employee fields work area. And later on, this will be within the roles section here. So this is the assignee. I hope I covered your question.
Yes, that has covered that question. Thank you. Next up, I'm just looking for a question here, and they've asked, what's the best way to trigger an email to all managers to remind them to approve holiday requests?
Okay, holiday requests, it's not quite what the task list does. So you don't know, even if we had this option, actually we can do it, because if you select the manager and you have like all the emails, please approve the holidays and whatever you need to write here down, then you can trigger this task list that it has only email. You can trigger in the directory, you can select all the company, and you can trigger a task list that has only one email inside. So all the managers will get it. But maybe some managers already approved, or maybe some managers have no holidays to approve. So it's not really targeted. So this is not the best options to do that. At the moment, we don't have it, but maybe somewhere around the time off will be a great option for that.
We'll be sure to pass that feedback on to our time off wizard assess. So I think this will be our last question for the session. I see we've run just a little bit over. So our question is, can we create a task and duplicate it to set other onboardings for other sites so we don't have to manually create them each time?
Okay, so at the moment, what we can do is to duplicate all of the task lists. It means, for example, if I have a task list called, in this example, we can have them both, onboarding Norway and onboarding Sweden. I can duplicate the onboarding, and then I have a duplication of the onboarding Norway, and then once I'm gonna click the next, I can delete irrelevant tasks and I can edit them, and in that way you can duplicate the whole task list. You cannot duplicate a specific task within the same task list, but you can duplicate whole of the task list.
Perfect. That's great, Adir. I think that's going to be really helpful for for a lot of people. So that's all the time we have left for today. If you do have, like I said, if we haven't gotten to your question, we will follow up with you directly. And then for anyone else who is interested, we are also offering office hours sessions. We have one on task list coming up in the next few weeks. And our one tomorrow is actually on performance reviews. If you haven't gotten a link to join those sessions, just reach out to our support team and they'll be happy to share that with you. And thank you again so much, Adir, for sharing this really exciting new feature with us. And thank you so much to everyone who took the time to join us today. Have a lovely rest of the day, everybody. And a recording of this session will be sent out to all who registered after it's been edited. So that should be with you shortly as well. So thanks again. Have a wonderful day.